Hi Scorpio, this is your 2023 year ahead forecast using the tarot. I've pulled 2 cards per month for 2023 using 2 different decks. That way I can see if there are repeating cards, and indeed there are. It helps me to tie the themes together and to see if there's any link between certain months of the year. 2023 looks like a year of intense personal growth and new directions and unexpected shifts and changes. It's full of blessings, and it brings you closer and closer to the truth about who you are, your purpose, and why you're here. Let's look at the beginning of the year. So January is a very intense month for you. 2 major arcana cards, both in reverse from different decks, the Judgment card and the Fool card in reverse. This is an awakening energy that's coming through for you in January, but you resist it. There is something that is inviting you to take a little bit of a closer look at your fears. Take a closer look at in what ways you are ignoring the call to upgrade on a conscious level. And this is also inviting you to have another chance at something. You are being invited to take a leap of faith again. This was something that you held yourself back from doing again, and you seem to be really fortunate because you're actually being invited to give this another go. But something tells me you are still afraid to take a certain leap, or there is great indecision around what way you're going to progress. The Fool card in reverse talks about hastiness. It talks about making a decision that may not be in highest and best for you. And it also can talk about indecision or waiting too long. With Judgment in reverse, this could be the waiting too long to take that leap or to actually go for it this time. This is a very intense month to begin the year, so maybe you're already moving through some of that energy and you'll know what I'm talking about. But Judgment card in reverse has awakened something in your mind. You're going to be able to look at things in a radically different way, in a much more progressive way that brings you closer to the truth about why you're here and who you are and what your role to play in the world is. You have a very special purpose, Scorpio, and you've been running from this for some time now. The Judgment card is about you initiating some sort of togetherness and community. So you're being challenged in January. A door is opening for you, and this isn't the scary part, because the opportunities and the storyline that unfolds for you in January is not like the road that you've never taken before. There's just different elements of it. There could be confusion around it. There could be just a waiting game. The Fool card can be just a hold up on taking the first step on something. We have a Mercury and a Mars retrograde for the bulk of January. So you may notice that in later January, you're able to actually start moving forward with something. Those people that were out of office, they're back in town. Now you can start to initiate the steps moving forward. This is not way out of left field, although there is something that you begin considering or that becomes a possibility for you in January that does seem to just be like, this is a little outside of my comfort zone, and even though I kind of have experience here and I know what I'm doing, it's like there's something radically new about it. Or even people might say like, wow, that's a big step, Scorpio. Are you sure you're ready? Well, are you sure you're ready? You are afraid to step up to your full capacity on some level. You've been invited to shed old fears and kind of start the year with a born again, and it's more than like a rebirth, like a kind of reinvention. It's like an evolution basically, and it's kind of getting louder and louder for you, and you're getting louder and louder in the response of kind of holding yourself back out of fear. Okay, another major arcana card in February, the Sun card in reverse, the happiest card in our deck. Now, this doesn't mean that it is completely the opposite in reverse, but it just shows me that there is a loneliness in February, or there's just a feeling of being not fully where you want to be, as in where you're being seen. The Queen of Pentacles coming through, and this is one of our repeating cards. This Queen appears again in May, but the Queen of Pentacles tells me there is a very safe space for you and a place where you truly know you belong, and you get to find that sense of where you belong in the month of February. You know, where you can just kind of have this really intimate flow with others. You know, the relationships that you just don't fully feel yourself in, or you can't fully express yourself, or again, there may be some fear there. There may be sort of fear of judgment. We do have the Judgment card, and actually, yeah, I didn't even think of that. That could be what January is all about: fear of judgment, fear of saying the wrong thing, or being judged on an opinion or a viewpoint or a way you decide to live your life, and it holds you back. So the Sun card in reverse, that could be the ego kind of leading the sort of narrative, and like, oh, you better not do that, you better not say that, what would people think, like and it's sort of like more about like getting closer in touch with your soul, I suppose, knowing when to pause the ego and just say like, well, what do I actually need, and where am I being guided more strongly? Listen out for the guidance that's coming through. Oftentimes we can hear guidance easier when we're quiet and when we're resting. The Sun card, it's still really happy even in its reversal. This tells me that you are kind of, it's like two things. On one hand, it's the sense of not belonging or sense of isolation or loneliness that leads you closer to actually the feeling of true belonging and being with the right people and the relationships that really comfort you. It also shines a light, the Sun card in reverse, around where feels like home to you, what feels like the safety net to you, and where can you really flourish and grow from the most. The Queen of Pentacles, she's one of our most thriving energies of the entire deck. You also have the Empress coming through later on in the year as we enter Scorpio season in October, but this is a thriving energy. So the blessings that you have this year are bigger than your average. So it seems like the blessings that come through this year are on par with, I guess, the challenges that present themselves. The Queen of Pentacles, monetary, financial, security, growth around any of your endeavors recently, home and living situation improving, home and living situation thriving, domestic life thriving. If you're a parent, this is a really good sign for perhaps the life of one of your children, or like inviting children into your life. The Sun card, we can see a child here, but this can also just show like a safe space within you where your inner child is able to play and flourish and thrive, and there's like no walking on eggshells here. In February, you find yourself with people that love you for who you are, whether these people share the same strands of DNA as you. It's the sort of archetype and just the sort of concept of family being really like significant to you, a sense of belonging, a sense of fitting in, juxtaposed with where you simply don't feel like you belong. Okay, in March we have the Tower card with the Seven of Cups. Scorpio, there is an illusion in your life that is paper thin at this point. The Seven of Cups speaks to illusions, it speaks to vices, it speaks to a lack of clarity, and it speaks to like all of the sort of earthly pleasures that we can try and find fulfillment in. Sometimes it speaks to addictions, but we're never really going to truly find the fulfillment we're looking for. This is running away. This is like kind of running further and further from source. And it's kind of like, it's like a spiritual poverty with the Seven of Cups. It's like really the illusion. These two cards actually were stalking me for a while, and I knew exactly what it was. I was engaging in a bad habit, which I knew was not serving me, but I kept making excuses, and not even making excuses. I was just like, oh, it's not that bad. But it wasn't like, it's not like life and death, but like it was it was an illusion for me to keep pretending that it wasn't that bad for me. So there is something here that is paper thin. You know it doesn't make sense. The illusion is barely standing on its own 2 feet anymore, and the Tower card is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back in March. This is a period in March. It's no need to fear. You can handle this, but it is the tearing it all down to rebuild. So I feel like we've collectively gone through 2020, 2021 on the collective. It has been an experience of tearing it all down to rebuild. In 2022, there may have been a feeling of just like regrouping, reconnecting to you, yourself, your loved ones, reconnecting to love over fear. And now it's like the elimination process in March for you on a personal level. What simply has to go, anything that does remain for you in March, steadfast, that's when you know you've got a real thing going with the relationship, with the structure, with a value, a belief, a job, a way of life. Everything that remains for you past March is there for you to take with you into your long-term future. Anything that doesn't last or seems to crumble or fall apart, I have a sense that it was not truly in highest and best for you anyway, and a mere illusion of sorts. This can be an emotional time. Pisces season can be an emotional time as we end the zodiacal year, releasing anything that is karmic at this point as we begin to kind of step into a new beginning energy with the zodiacal year beginning in April. So it's time to let go of habits. It's time to let go of thought cycles or toxic situations that are kind of there to just like hold you back and prohibit any further growth. An intense start to the year, Scorpio. Okay. As we move into April, a little bit more action. We're springing into action as it begins to get a little bit more amped up and fiery and action orientated. This is a busy time. This is a time where not that you're like picking up any pieces, but that anything that was holding you back before is out of your way now. You have the upper hand in mostly all of your dealings in the month of April. And I should say, this is just a theme for each month. It doesn't mean that it will dominate the entire month for 30 days. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but it would just suggest to me that these are certain archetypes or qualities that maybe like you want to pay some more attention to, or for some you just can't help but ignore. Well, you're trying to ignore this one maybe. Anyway, so we're kind of like hitting the ground running and more so in April, where you are prioritizing how to get ahead on certain projects, plans and initiatives, and having great success in doing so. So you're highly motivated because a lot of the dead weight karmic debris is just gone now. The sevens in tarot, the 7 of cups, the 7 of wands, are a number of manifestation, because it's almost like you're so far along in your journey on something that it's inevitable that a challenge will occur to sort of test your mettle, basically, to see how much you've learned in this particular area or arena of life. And in April you feel like you're really at the top of your game, not quite as much as at the top of your game you're going to be actually in October with the 9 of wands and the Empress card. However, you're really inching closer and closer to victory in April, and you're making a lot of progress is the main thing. Yeah, you're really seeing results. You have a clear direction, a clear focus. There's no stopping you. You're hustling away. You're busy, you're energized, you're extremely focused, and you have got nothing that shouldn't be with you anymore in April. As we move into May, and we're still in eclipse season in May, April and May are the eclipse seasons, as well with October mainly in the year of 2023. So I guess that you're initiating a lot in the first season of eclipses. We see our Queen of Pentacles again, like we saw them in February, this time with the 5 of Cups in the month of May. So you still have your safe space. In fact, what you've been growing in February is still flourishing. It hasn't reached its like culmination yet. There's still a possibility to learn, to grow, and to sort of create more. Yeah, because this is a very fertile energy. For those who are looking to invite and align themselves with the energy of, or the frequency of birthing or creation, of course, that doesn't necessarily need to be like a literal child. Birthing and creation is just a frequency. So when you're in that creative frequency, you could be birthing different projects or different kind of babies for the first time, opening a business, starting some sort of a society or club, or releasing something that you've been working on in a sort of creative way where you've been dedicating time and effort and in a sacred space to eventually share with the external community. So that could be February and I guess March, and May are times of the year where I see you in more of this creative frequency. So in May there are I said February and May is what I meant to say, and even October is when the sort of results of that come to fruition. But before we get there, it seems like there are significant gains that continue to be made by you, and there could be then at the same time a letting go of or some sort of a goodbye in the month of May. You may be moving, you may be leaving the place of residence that you find yourself in. You may be moving further away from family or your sort of where you first came from, your ancestral home or the country of your origin even. So you may be sort of seeing that as a bittersweet goodbye, but at the same time, you've created something that nobody can take away from you this year, Scorpio, and it continues to grow. It's like the safe space. If you have children, you've really truly created a home for them to thrive in. It could be a place, if not, it's like a secure place for you, Scorpio, where you can truly be yourself. It's such a privilege and it's so special to have this safe, sacred place where you really feel like it's your own, no one can take it away from you. And at the end of it all, and at the end of every day, and despite what happens, this is a place where you can be, where you can feel secure, safe, and continuously growing. Money continues to be a focus in the month of May, and there could be material gains, but on some level there seems to be a emotional setback where you are disappointed with how a relationship turned out. I'm getting the impression. It could be a relationship that in March, if you feel like anything is verging on being no longer stable for you, in March could be the kind of catalyst for that to finally break away. Okay, in June, you have a very successful month and a very empowered month. You're fully resourced, you're fully in control. So I like to see that level of stability again after perhaps March being a little bit more unexpected or rocky. Now, I've had, like I said, the tarot card stalking me for a while, and it was leading up to an event, quite an important milestone in my life, or something that I've been kind of like a focus of mine for 6 years at this point. And the tower kept coming up and I was like, oh my God, this is not going to go how I expected it to go. And I'm expecting it to go well. Does that mean it's not going to go well? And, you know, day before this took place for me, the tower card, I'm like, for Christ's sake, okay. So it did go well in the end, but there was some miscommunications and complications throughout. And the tower actually manifested not as an external event or circumstance, but it was my inner panic, the turmoil that I was feeling inside as I was like my stress levels rising. And that was how the tower can sometimes be as well. It can be really uncomfortable to face the truth of a situation, and also to face where we've been like deceiving ourselves or just like in denial or kind of running from something. So it is really nice to see the Emperor and the Six of Wands coming through in June, where you're standing on your own 2 feet, or should I say sitting, but you're in a really comfortable position, and more than comfortable, advantageous. Again, you've got the Seven of Wands in April, the Six of Wands in June. There could be something that you really hit the ground running on in April, and by June it's, you know, like it's a roaring success at this point. So the Emperor card tells me you're fully in the driving seat in June, you are back in control of the situation, and there is really something growing at this point, and you're getting a lot of recognition. You could have more eyes on you, your public profile, your kind of 10th house area of your chart being lit up or activated. So the kind of public persona, reputation, career, that's all kind of being seen and applauded, and it's very validating. This could be a month for entrepreneurship. This also could be a month if you ever considered getting into business or work with a family member. I do see the Emperor as like a father archetype. This could be also you becoming your own boss and setting up your own business. This also could be the re-emergence of something in January, actually, where there was like you were slightly afraid to take this on. You didn't know if this was the best time to start something. In June, it's like, yeah, this is definitely the way to go with it. Okay, so we start, we end the first half of the year really strong, really victoriously, with a lot of focus on you. But then we enter the month of July. I am seeing one of my repeating cards. It is the Tower again. Yeah, Scorpio, it's gonna be okay. It's going to be okay. The Tower is really, the 2023 seems to be no bullshit anymore. It could be like we see the sort of crown popping off here. That's the ego, right? The crown is still here in the Emperor, so you rebuild it. You rebuild what is kind of changed or derailed for you in March. You rebuild that in June, but there's something that's still too ego focused about it. Scorpio, I think the Tower is coming again just to liberate yourself, is the message, from anything at all that you're clinging to that really just doesn't serve you in this next upward swing of your life. The Eight of Swords, again, it's fear, it's crippling at times, but it is in need of liberation. Untie the shackles, untie the ties that bind you, keep you stuck, keep you feeling limitless when you have so much more power at your disposal. You have so much more that you can be doing and making of yourself. Now in June, it feels like you're in such a strong position, victorious and championing on some level, pioneering, leading the way, starting out something of your own, forging the way, and that's for sure all well and good. So there's just something about the year of 2023 that wants to dissolve the ego, and ego dissolution is not a permanent state of affairs. It's not like we have to live in this like ego not existing in tatters on the floor forever or anything like that. But there is just some area of your life which is too much dominated by the ego and too far removed from authenticity or the soul's true desire and plan for you. When we look at the birth chart, we'll see oppositions and squares between, let's say, what the soul wants and how the ego has constructed an identity or a value on something, right? Values and all of the rest can come up for some sort of a realignment in the month of March and again in the month of July. But this time the Tower is about setting yourself free. In fact, I see both of the Tower cards being more internal this year rather than events or things that take you by surprise or circumstances shifting. They certainly could be those things, but with the Seven of Cups, it's like the illusion shattering, which is a good thing. It's jarring, but it's good. This one in July is about liberating yourself from fears and where you're playing small, where you're possibly playing the victim, where you're possibly still got that blindfold on. It needs to come off. And your guides and the universe is here to support you this year in getting closer to your authentic self, your truest expression, and dissolving some of the ego which perhaps has been taking the reins for a little too long. But you'll be able to tap back into the egoic wishes and desires when the time is right. But unless you're going to do that yourself, sometimes the Tower can shift things, and it's almost like intervention at some point. So we're going to look at the month of August and September together. I have a couple of repeating cards here. Lovely, the Three of Swords. Oh my goodness. The last quarter of the year, I should say, October, November, December for you is filled with the most blessings, I think, and the most, the truest you felt to yourself in a really long time. And it's just full of self-respect, awe, wonder, clarity, purpose, sense of direction, sense of momentum, more travel, more exploration, more excitement. So it's a little bit of a slog, it seems, just to get through some of the more contracting themes of the months of, I suppose, July and August and September. Not that this will dominate your months, but the Three of Swords, of course, it would be remiss if I didn't say that this can be about painful disclosures. It can also be around the disclosure of truth, the revelation of some sort of a quality or knowing that you cannot look away from. And after this is revealed to you, it fundamentally will change things, unless you choose to ignore it. But I think those days are over. I think January is something of a wake-up call. You've been wanting to do something for a while, whether it's conscious or not, but you've never found the right moment to do it. And January with the Fool card in reverse, it's like, oh, I don't think this is the right time. But after you break through and face the facts, and you really see things for what they are, especially from July, August and September, that's when the true rebirth for you happens, and you're in your King of Cups energy in November, the Scorpio card. This is the truest, purest expression of yourself that we've seen in this whole reading, but you are really demonstrating a tremendous amount of resilience this year. So the Four of Pentacles and the Three of Swords. Okay. You've been holding on to some pain, and now it's time to release it. As you start to liberate yourself from old fears and cycles that don't serve you anymore in July, you get to clear the bulk of it, and then you can really see the truth of what's actually under all of that. Let me get to the bottom of it. This could be something that's been dwelling for 3 years, 4 years, 3 months, 4 months, but it's time to get to the bottom of what actually is holding you back and the pain that you are holding on to. It's time to let it go. This heart can't heal with those pointy swords still in it, and still the wound can't really heal until that's really just pulled out. A painful process, but that's when the healing can begin. So this really seems like August is a completely healing month for you, mind, body and soul. It's a time where you recuperate and take stock of what you still have, and you have enough, and you have enough support, you have enough resources, you have exactly what you need. Soon it'll be more. In October, it will be more than enough. It will be enough to share. It will be repaid threefold. But for now, you just need to focus on what's right in front of you in August. In September, the issue still seems to be bothering you. And if there is any issue of loneliness or not belonging, it seems like September is the final push through with that theme in your life. And you are in need of assistance. It could come up that you are. I'm not necessarily saying you will be, but these cards suggest hurt and pain, not necessarily for you, Scorpio. And I'm just reading the cards as honestly and as frankly, I would rather not sugarcoat, and I would rather keep it real with you. If it's not something that you're interested in hearing, like, just take what resonates and leave the rest. But for some, I do see that feelings are hurt in September, tears could be shed, but there is a beauty in that, and there's a beauty in the recovery. Again, you really realize who the people that, if you were, like I said, not necessarily sharing the same DNA strands with these people, these family in February, where you feel a sense of belonging. What if you were left with nothing? What if you were just like naked in the streets? Of course, it's not going to get to that. But who are the people that would still love you and take you in nonetheless, even if you had nothing else? That's what family is. And that's where the beauty of this all lies. You truly can see where your home is always going to be, the home within yourself, the people that truly love you for you. It's going to be really obvious to you in September. Okay, we're putting that behind us, July, August, and September, and we're moving forward now in the last quarter of the year, and truly moving forward, your best foot forward, replenished, rejuvenated, reborn, really. This is an Aries energy, and I see it coming through in November with you in the King of Cups energy, where you are feeling the best you felt, maybe ever, but certainly in a while. But in October, you have an enormous blessing coming through. It's time for you to receive that abundance. It's time for your payback. It's time for you to be just celebrated, and for the light to be shining on you, and really for you to feel all the warmth and the adoration and, you know, just the love from people. The Empress card, we do have the Emperor, I believe, at one point in your reading. Yeah, the Emperor card. If you're a parent, this is a time where your role as a parent is really celebrated, where you feel like you're truly making a massive difference. Or if it's your own parents or the theme of family, there's a real sense of togetherness and there's a real sense of closeness. But the Empress card is about what you've been creating. Oftentimes, through challenges and adversity and times of emotional upheaval or disturbance, we can, as humans, create some of the most sort of expressive and meaningful works of art. It really could be a time where you sit down and start to write that book, that memoir, start to channel all of your experiences into something beautiful and truly you. It could be something where you reveal your heart and soul, and you're really appreciated for doing it. It could be a time when you become more vulnerable and you feel safe to do so because you feel so supported and blessed by the universe at the same time in October. So what you're working on in April and what really seems to be hitting the ground running, I see a theme. I see like January, you may begin something that you have to revisit, or you're just afraid to do it. You're afraid to step up to the table. You just doubt whether or not you should do it, or else you go into something too hasty. April seems like the true start on something where it's like really advantageous, and there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of direction, there's a lot of like focus and clarity, and like you're getting like in the moment feedback. You don't wait, there's no delay. In June, there's like that sort of continued victory with the goal, with the projects, with what your kind of initiatives are this year. So I see April, June, and then October and November being like really highlighted months of success in your year ahead, Scorpio. And now in October, it's like we're really nearing the end of where you've been going with this whole time. Like maybe you're not completely at the end yet because it's still really enjoyable. It's tiring, yes, but this seems to be worth the headache for me. You do have this bandage on your head, but the worthiness, the worth, the confidence that's coming from you, it's just like really divine energy coming through in October. But it's in a month when you're persevering and you're still getting through all of those projects, plans, and things are kind of wrapping up on some level, but there's still a lot of determination. You haven't really gotten bored of it or anything like that. So there could be a trip in November, there could be some sort of a broadening of your horizons. We're back down to the 3 of Wands. So we've got like the 7, 6 and 9 of Wands, and now we're back down to the 3. This would tell me that now it's time to pick up a new project. Now it's time to pick up something else. It's something that seems like it's going to be a sure thing to you because you feel very much in sync with what you're doing. This is an alignment, month of alignment. You're just couldn't feel closer to your truest self, and those around you now value you for who you are. Your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, deserving and confidence is really strong. As far as romance and your love life is concerned, October and November seems to be like the high point of a victory for you and the person you're with. If you're single, you have no problem attracting somebody who is on the same loving and high vibrational frequency as you, who wants the same things, who wants to commit, who wants to be dedicated. And if you are in a relationship in October and November, it just seems like you and your partner are on completely the same wavelength and really like truly supporting one another. December, you've made it, and this is the moment of truth. The Ace of Swords, it's all worth it at this point because all that bullshit pretense has been finally cut away. This has been a long time coming and there has been a lot of resistance, it seems. But the Ace of Swords is that final moment of clarity as the year ends, where the penny drops and it's that eureka moment. It all finally makes sense. You know why everything has happened. You understand, and it's this just piercing moment of clarity, bliss, I would actually say, enlightenment, I would go as far as to say too, a real sense of awakening. And the Knight of Swords, you're just ready to roll on into 2024. I don't even want to go there. Let's get through 2023 first. But the Knight of Swords is a really nice way to end the year with the Ace of Swords because you have a clear directional purpose, a stronger sense of what you're meant to be doing here and what your unique role is at this time. In these precarious times, we all have a very significant role to play. We can run from that if we like, but why not just face up to it? But in December, you know what you're meant to be doing. And you've got 2 Knights in the reading. Knights are about ambition and momentum and action actually happening. So this means that this is an action-oriented year where things are actually happening for you in both halves of the year, I should say. All right, Scorpio, I really am wishing you all the best for 2023. Much love to you. And again, take what resonates, leave the rest. This doesn't necessarily mean that any of these themes will dominate the entire month. I really don't see these readings as being like that. Because, you know, every day is different and we can just wake up on any given day and change things. And we always have that power. So that's what I'm seeing for your year ahead. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and consider subscribing to this channel if you enjoyed this reading. Take care. Bye.